Good evening, Battle Creek, and welcome to this episode of Our View, the show that captures our view from a seat in poverty. I'm joined today with my program coordinator, Valerie Whitney.
Hello. We're also joined this evening by Julie Klein, Michigan Works Southwest.
Yeah.
Julie is in the employment sector.
Yes, working with both employers and employees, job seekers.
Welcome,
Thank you for
Julie.
joining us today.
Yes.
Yeah. So today we want to talk about post-pandemic, what it looks like to be helping employers connect with employees, because you hear almost every night on the news and everywhere you go that there is a shortage of employees.
Yes.
Employers are hungry for employees, and you think that there are a lot of people who are looking for work as well. We have the beauty of belonging to this workforce partnership in Battle Creek, which encompasses
Goodwill Industries, Kellogg Community College, Michigan Southwest, and Women's Co-op.
And so our job is to create these opportunities for training and gateways into career fields.
Yes.
You want to say a little more about that, Julie?
Well, and we do a lot of assessing individuals coming in saying they're looking for work to see if maybe we can connect them with additional trainings within our system that might be beneficial to them, that would allow them to earn a more livable, sustainable income. One of the IAC programs that we're in partnership with KCC has been running phlebotomy trainings, CNA, Certified Nurse Assistant training, because that area, obviously, healthcare right now is an area that is in, there's a high demand for individuals seeking entering into that type of employment.
And KCC, Kellogg Community College, has also added a retail cohort that they're going to do this year.
And that will be
to help
this
folks
spring.
get into retail.
Yes.
I really think that this is the best time to want to get training or opportunities in Battle Creek because of this work for partnership amongst all of us. Because really, I mean, we offer industrial sewing and the clerical, commercial janitorial, manufacturing, and then the college is offering the medical fields, retail,
and they have a number
Michigan
of scholarships, right? The KCC has a number of scholarships available. A Next Steps grant if they go through one of our phlebotomy or CNA IAC trainings, or there's a Reconnect Michigan grant, and all of these things that Kellogg Community College can help with, but also Michigan Works and Women's Co-op. A number of us can also assist with the wraparound services if individuals are struggling finding how are we going to afford to go back to school and navigate living day to day.
Right, like how will I pay my bills and go to school?
And so we try to, between all of our agencies, try to figure out a way to provide support services for all of those, so the individual has a better chance of having a positive outcome and actually enjoying the training.
And benefiting from
it. Yeah.
And there's so many different trainings out now that KCC is partnering with other folks in the community that I think it's a wider variety. And
yes,
you know, maybe healthcare isn't for you, but now they have the CAMA program that they offer, which is a stepping stone for manufacturing, and now they're offering this retail cohort where folks can actually learn what it's like to do customer service prior to, for lack of a better way of saying it, just jumping into it.
Right.
So you get some idea of what you're actually getting into before you get into the actual employment.
Yes, and it's also kind of career laddering and allowing them to step back in to a training process, and then have a number of us around them to support. And Michigan Works, we have a number of different opportunities where we assist with the resume writing and the interviewing and mock interviewing, and our youth program. So we look at it as not only just one job seeker, but as a multi-generational approach,
right?
Where we can then also, perhaps somebody is coming to us and needing and wanting more training, but they also have students, teenagers at home. And they would also like to get them start forward thinking about careers. So we have our Michigan Works YOU program that assists with that also offers wraparound services. It's all designed to assist the job seekers how can they be most successful? What is their plan? What do they want to do? What do they like about life? And let's see, how can you earn money doing that? And see what trainings fit for that individual moving forward.
And I think Women's Co-op looks at the same things, but it's a little bit different for us that we're creating these network of families that can help each other.
Yes.
And we're also concentrating more heavily on barrier removal. So I don't have good daycare, I don't have transportation, maybe I haven't worked in a long time, and so manufacturing training would serve me well to make that connection into that field.
Right. And when you talk about Michigan Works YOU program, just so that there's some clarity around that, that's not just when you say youth, that's not just young 18 and under, that's, what is that, 16 to 24?
To 24,
right.
Correct.
So, I mean,
so
you
it's
could,
a wider breadth of population that we can assist.
right, so you could be a young mom with a child in that age group, and you're going to school, maybe you're in high school still, and you're finishing that up, but now you're getting that added training with Michigan Works so that you have, when your graduation is complete, you can step into that next career field that you're looking for.
Correct.
Right, so that's a really good program that Michigan Works has to offer for the youth. I think that's really phenomenal.
So Julie, what are you seeing with candidates coming through Michigan Works? Why aren't we filling all these jobs? What's happening?
Well, post-pandemic, we've had some struggles. There's always been a childcare shortage, and it's not just in Battle Creek. It's a nationwide. It's been a nationwide topic, but with all of the different situations that families are being faced with right now, you're assuming that kids are going to be in school, right? Well,
But not necessarily.
But not necessarily.
Because we're seeing that every other week.
Right, another classroom closes
Another
down.
is quarantined. So it is a bit of a struggle to try to, and we have a lot of conversations, okay, what does our backup plans look like? And right now, those are even a struggle because a lot of times grandparents have been backup plans, but with families not wanting to expose grandparents potentially to COVID, it's been a challenge, and so we're really working with that to figure out what can we do to assist and in the struggle of not having daycare centers through the pandemic. A number closed, right, and did not reopen their doors. So we at Michigan Works have a number of task force working on these exact topics in collaboration with BC Pulse and some of the other organizations that work with childcare and children, and how can we shape this and what can we do to assist people connecting with daycare resources. So that it has been a challenge, but it's becoming quite a community effort. And we at time call on you to say, have you heard anybody that's accepting little ones too? I think we do struggle with infant care providers.
I think that, it was an issue before the pandemic for us.
Yes.
But it's an even bigger issue now, because even if I do have, like you said, kids in school and I have my plan of who's going to pick them up, if the school calls at 11 o'clock, what do I do?
Right.
So it's challenging.
It has been challenging, and we're watching employers have to also look and redesign their policies on attendance, because it's completely impacted that, right? Because
if I get exposed with my child at school, then I have to be out of work too, because that's what the CDC guidelines say.
Right. So it's right now we're just watching a large number of employers redesign and reapproach how they're onboarding staff and what their policies are looking like, and how does that impact their because at the end of the day, the employer also needs to put out product,
and they need those employees,
to do that. It's just not one side or the other side facing the issue. It will have to be a joint effort, and coming up with some real creative solutions on how we're going to navigate life moving forward post-pandemic.
I noticed too a trend at Women's Co-op is that we used to get a lot of folks coming in the door, and that's what they wanted was the education and the training and connections to employment. Not so much the case now. Like we see more people who are just coming to get assistance with rental or with food or with utility assistance or those barriers, and not so much seeking the employment and education. And so we find ourselves asking the families why not the urgency to return to work. And we're finding some pretty interesting things, like folks don't want to be locked down. They don't want to be locked down into those shifts. So I've noticed that some local employers are trying to do like flex shifts where you can get all your work done in 3 days, or I don't know,
or just work a
different
Saturday
things.
and Sunday, or just a Friday, Saturday,
Right.
giving options.
Which is nice because I think that's where these families are. I thought it was interesting too that we have a high number of our population that's doing those driver delivery things, DoorDash, Shift, Spark, and they're making enough money to survive doing those.
And they're working around what
Their schedules.
their schedule looks like,
Yeah,
or what their
sign on the
availability
app
to a
and-
daycare, or availability.
Right.
What is their significant other doing that can assist and offset those, so they're not paying those daycare costs. They're
Well, we have a mom
just
with an
making it
infant
work.
who's doing it. Baby's 4 months old, and she just takes the baby with her.
Yeah.
Right.
And when she needs to take a break on the side of the road and feed the baby or change a baby, she does. And they pick their hours, and it's just working. And
A
so
number,
then
yeah.
we're wondering, is there a shift somewhere post-pandemic where, during the pandemic, everybody was getting their groceries delivered, but now that's slowing down, so there's not so many people needed in that workforce. Do you think that'll change, or do you think in this day and age we all want it delivered?
And I think it will continue to evolve. We're just
Right.
seeing the beginnings of what this is going to look like moving forward. People working around what they have and what they have available to them. A number of people have gone into survival mode. We're hoping to get them out of survival mode and into how can we move forward more than just survival, correct? So, but I do think there's different seasons in people's lives too. When a baby's an infant, and what do you do? And if there's not daycare, how can I get through to
Right.
that next stage where there may be more availability to daycare? What does that look like? And sometimes they're utilizing this time to actually do some training and upscaling of their skills to move into. We're finding a number going into CENA. Certified nurse assistant work, where they have a certification that allows them more earning power, but they could do home health care around the daycare that they have available to them,
Right.
So people are starting to get very creative, and I think that will continue moving forward based on the resources there are out there available to them.
So I know there's a couple of home care agencies in our community that if you have your certification and you want to work select shifts, that they'll hire you on those select shifts, but you can still have that certification in your back pocket, so that when things calm down a little in your life and you can make that next step into it, it's great. And then with the college offering the next steps. So if you have your CENA certificate and you want to do LPN, they will help you move forward in doing that as well. So
Yes.
those partnerships within the community have grown quite a bit in the pandemic, I believe. And I think some of our folks are taking advantage of them, but I just don't think a lot of folks know about a lot of the things that are out there for them to take advantage of.
Correct, that are available out there right now with
Right.
the
Ooh,
IAC
But we're fixing that
programs.
because there's a new website coming out
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's called
for job seekers and employers. that's-
right. It's called BC Connect.
And that's
Yes.
a direct result of the partners meeting and talking about that. That
Yes.
we work together with WK Kellogg Foundation
Right.
to develop that. Do we know when that's rolling out? Is that January?
December.
December?
January time
Yeah,
frame.
I
somewhere.
heard right around in there, mid-December, early January. I know there were some technical difficulties where It crashed. Is that what
Yes.
they told us at our last
Yes.
meeting? Yes, it crashed and they had to rebuild the whole thing.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
We know what that feels like.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do.
Sometimes you're just going with the flow and winging it and doing the best you can,
Right.
which is kind of what a lot of people are doing right now, right? And so I think the most important thing is if people are out there and looking for opportunities, call one of us, any of us, and we will help connect. We're trying to really work as a team within the Battle Creek community to help individuals access what is it you're looking for. Is it a job? Is it training? Is it,
Yeah,
are you
because if
needing
somebody
a
walks into
support
Michigan
service?
Works and wants to be a clerical person, you have that connection to go, oh, you can go over to Women's Co-op and you can take this training over there. I think one of the other things that's attractive is that some of the trainings are being paid for. Like all of ours have always
Yes.
been paid for. Any of our on-site or off-site, there is training stipends for it, but the college offers some training stipends. Michigan Works offers some programming that has training stipends.
Yep.
Goodwill as well. I think they always did.
Yeah, I think
They
so,
were ahead
too.
of us
Right.
somehow, Julie.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. You?
But yeah, so I mean, there are opportunities out there, and pick up. I hope they pick up the phone and talk to us about it, because we're really trying to work as a team as to what also would be the best fit for them. Because if they have more needs than maybe just what Michigan Works might be able to offer, it may be a time to step in and say, well, Women's Co-op has some creative ways to help you problem solve these. And so we try to make sure we're working as a team. So we're putting the individual as the North Star, and we're all jumping in to help. How can we best assist them in their goals and accomplishing those goals?
I agree.
So-
I agree.
So,
It's a nice
Julie, if
partnership.
someone wanted to be involved in Michigan Works and sign up, what's their first steps? What would they do?
So there's a couple different things they can do. One, we have our main office right on Van Buren across the street from Battle Creek Central Fieldhouse. They can come in there in Battle Creek and enter there, or we have neighborhood hubs that they can access. If sometimes just getting to Michigan Works, at times we're very aware. By the time you get on a bus, get kids to a daycare, and then
Oh,
come
yeah.
in, right?
Yeah.
So we have a location at Community Action Agency out in kind of the transportation building out there in the
And
parking
that's the
lot.
Post Franklin, right?
Yep,
area.
Post Franklin neighborhood. And then we have a location over at New Level Ministries.
Which is your Washington Heights
Which is-
North Side neighborhood.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I'm located out at the KCC's Regional Manufacturing Technology Center, because that's also an area that we realize needs focusing, which is your skilled trades and helping people connect with that training also out there. So yes, we have a number. You can come into any one of those locations, and people are there to assist you.
Well, since we don't have the partners here today, we'll speak on their behalf. So for the college, entrance into the college, you wouldn't go into regular administration if you were interested in the IAC programs. I mean, they could access it through us, certainly, but if I wanted to go directly to the college, how do I
I think
access
it's
the
just
IAC?
Student services.
Student
Student
services can
services.
direct them there, or yes, or they
And
can
on
come out to the
KCC's
RMTC
website,
and
they
we
have
love
some
it. Yes.
information about that too, right?
Right.
They do. They have a way to access that information.
And for Goodwill Industries programming, most of it gets accessed through the FOC Center.
That's correct.
for-
The
Yes.
Financial Opportunity Center.
which is
yes.
on the corner of Michigan and Capitol.
Capital,
right,
yeah.
right
Yep.
there at the end.
Right.
Yeah, which it's a good thing to mention that usually also individuals can have assistance getting their taxes done there.
Right,
We're hitting
the
that
VITA
time
program.
of year.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's
The
so
VITA
much more
program.
too, right?
Yes.
Like they can get their credit straightened out. They can establish credit. They can go into home ownership. Like there's Caesar and
Dawn.
who help them navigate through that financial system of putting those things back on track too.
Right.
Yes. And that's part of the program we offer through our IAC programming partnership with Michigan Works and KCC and Goodwill and Women's Co-op. We offer during their first portion of that training, they will get a financial literacy class to assist them and allow them to ask a lot of those questions. Of,
Right.
You know,
And
how
I
can
think
I
that-
clean up my credit so I have more earning power?
And I
Sure.
think that's one of the big hurdles for a lot of folks is they don't know where to start. You know,
Right.
Credit Karma, that looks cool. Let's pull that up. Oh no, my score is a 4 something.
I quit.
Right, exactly.
Well, it's
I'll never get a
overwhelming.
home.
Well, and that's the thing. I think even this. So for me, I think with our families, a lot of what we're seeing is this is emotional and mental. It's
Yes.
a psyche thing, right?
Yes.
So we all went into our homes, we quit working, we started staying home with our children, and we were isolated. And then we slowly peer open the drapes to look outside because things looks a little safer, right?
Right.
But then it's still scary. And then there are all these changes and things. And for some of our folks, you get used to being at home and being in your own little bubble, which was already hard to leave before.
Yes.
Right.
Now it's really hard to leave because I've gotten used to being in this bubble every day.
Right, and it's
Right.
taken a lot of encouragement. We notice even in the first week of training, that's always a challenge, right? Any first week in a new job, new training, any of that. But it's been impacted more by everybody being so isolated and taking those first steps of getting out and communicating with individuals and navigating it all again.
And so we've been beginning to talk as partners that there might need to be an arm of some mental health services to
Yeah.
talk people through. I mean, I know I worked at
Yes.
home for a little while during the pandemic, and when they said, well, we said, okay, it's she said, somebody said,
Back in the office.
back to the office. It was difficult to make that
Yeah,
transition. I
it
was
was.
used to being at home, and you kind of like that.
We
It's comfortable,
accommodated,
right?
Right.
We didn't have a choice. We shifted, and now it's getting people comfortable shifting back and help create a new normal. And so there is a lot of conversation around mental health, and we do have a lot of those talks within the structure of our coursework, and also helping them identify that others communicating to them may also be impacted. So we're all trying to be mindful of be a little nicer, be a little kinder, be a little more understanding.
Right.
This is a shift for everybody.
And you can only imagine, you know, I'm not saying by any means that our folks aren't as savvy as us, because some of them they have much more salve than you and I do. But
yes.
can you imagine being a single mom with 3 kids, you're in the home, and now all of a sudden you can go back to work, but you've been in your home for, what, a year, 18 months now, and now they want you to just step back out like everything is normal.
Right.
Well, now you're scared because do I send my kids to daycare? What if my kids get sick? You see on the news the numbers that are going up and down all the time. Do I get my children vaccinated? Do I get vaccinated? If I get vaccinated and don't vaccinate my children, what happens? So I think there's a lot of conversations amongst our folks who were living in survival mode prior to this. This was something that they were already doing, but now you've just added a layer of icing on it, and it's made it even harder for them to come up out of that even more.
To take that first step.
Right, absolutely.
You know, and the big thing is we've noticed, and we encourage each other when we get discouraged about, okay, they didn't show up again, right? We've got these meetings, gosh, I made this and we're all ready and they didn't show up again. But taking that deep breath of when they do finally show up, really appreciate the fact that they're walking through those doors and not barking at them as to why
Right.
haven't you shown up the
Where
last
the-
2 times and
where
what
the
are you
heck
going to
have
do
you been?
now?
Right.
And so really just appreciating the fact, because we may have to have a couple more meetings before they're actually ready to and prepared to take those steps either back into training or back into workforce, because they have been so isolated for so long.
Right.
It's scary.
Right.
Do you see like foot traffic at Michigan Works in the hubs? Is it increasing? Is it still very low? Okay.
Very slowly. We've seen it more with our IAC programming, where I'm out at the RMTC, where we're offering the free training and things like that. But it's slowly starting to come back, where people are comfortable coming in and being around other individuals. So,
Because that's the other thing. Valerie was talking to one of our gals yesterday, and as soon as she mentioned manufacturing, you could just see the panic wash over this young lady.
Right.
And so we asked, like, where is that panic coming from? Like, we can see it. And she really had no interest in going into that field because these are big areas with large groups of people, and everything that I've heard says I should avoid that.
Right. And that's turning really into assessing the individuals walking through the door. What is their comfort level? And we may need to have conversations to see, how soon will they be interested in going back into that manufacturing arena? Now, some are jumping right back in, some not so much, or they don't have the daycare, so they don't want to jump in yet for fear of failure, right? Because we all fear failing.
Right.
And the fear of failure that I set myself up to fail because I don't know what's going to happen with schools or daycares and those items. So then we kind of talk to them, maybe slowly get them into something that they could schedule around better and have a little more control of this schedule. So maybe it is retail, maybe it is the healthcare system, maybe it is going into home health where they're only dealing
Something that's more
one-on-one
flexible.
and a little more flexible.
And then once they start
Or
to get
shift,
comfortable.
And once they
something
get
where they're
comfortable, we
driving.
can help them gear up.
Right.
That can change.
Right.
So that's kind of the approach we've had to take so far.
I think it's challenging as well with my population, or our population too, that there's assistance right now, right? So we're finding that, yes, some of the benefits went away. You're not getting the unemployment, you're not getting the additional DHS benefits, but there are places that are paying 3 months of your rent and 3 months of your utilities. Well, if I just got my rent paid for 3 months and my utilities, girl, I got a side hustle that'll take care of everything else. And the co-op store will pay for the toilet paper.
Yeah.
So I don't really need to go to work right now. Because you're right. Some folks are just used to surviving. So if I can make enough to survive,
Yeah.
there really isn't a place that's pulling that dream out of me that aspire to do more.
And that's
So short of knocking on doors, what do we do?
I know it's tough. We're really trying to hold on those ones that maybe come in and think they may want some training. They come in and talk to us about it, and then they find right now this isn't the time. We try to bring them back in and say, what is it time for though, right? And have those conversations. But these assistant programs and everything, they're not going to be around forever. So what can we do to help while they are around? What can we help you do to gear you for your next steps moving forward? And really share a lot of the referrals. So if they're coming into me and we figure out right now is not a good time for their training or going back to work as full-time, we've worked a little bit with some of the different programming you have as maybe it's getting some upscale training in whether it's your sewing or your clerical or what does that look like? Maybe there's another route for you right now, because as long as they're walking through the doors, that at least we know they're entertaining the idea
Right.
of moving forward, right? And so we want to encourage that. And just because what I'm doing isn't going to work for them, maybe what Goodwill or what you at Women's Co-op is doing, or maybe even a different program at KCC altogether, one we're not involved with at all, is going to be a better option for them, because we don't want to lose them if they're saying now is the. I think I might be ready for something. I don't know what something is.
Well, now is definitely the time, I think.
Now is the time.
Absolutely.
There's a lot available out there for people right now.
Well, Julie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
having me.
What can we say to folks that are listening? What's my first step?
Come into one of the Michigan Works offices, come into Women's Co-op, or pick up that phone and talk to us and allow us the opportunity to at least kind of talk to you and navigate which direction would be best for you to start. Where would be a good start?
Thanks so much for joining us.